The Burg Waldeck festivals led to a renaissance of political engagement in German song, reclaiming it from the shadow of Nazi culture.
Katja Epstein war damals dabei, Reinhard May, Schubert und Black, die Insterburgs, sich dann, und so Gruppen, die sich formierten, die kamen alle aus Berlin und wurden auf der Waldeck wahrgenommen.
Welches Glück, so geschmückt, ganz verzückt, der Welt entrückt. Und welches Glück war geschmückt, der Welt entrückt und ganz verzückt. Ein schöner Bart in dieser Zeit hat jeder unsere weit und breit. Jeder unsere weit und breit, jeder unsere weit und breit. Bart, 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 Bart.
'66, 67, das war so die Hauptzeit. 68 war das schon wieder der Niedergang. Aber bis dahin waren die Medien, Rundfunk, Fernsehen sehr interessiert an dem, was da jetzt so neu passierte.
Denn wer Tausende verbrannte, der bekam den Ehrensold. Doch erschlug einen Einzelnen, hat der Henker ihn geholt in den guten alten Zeiten, in den guten alten Zeiten.
Burg Waldeck ran for 6 years from 1964 to 69 and played host to an international cast of stars. Ironically, it was the culture's political element that finally killed the festival off, with endless debating pushing the music to the margins.
Ich verstehe unter Arbeiterlied, dass ein Arbeiter ein Lied schreibt und die Melodie dazu und das hier vorträgt.
Margins.
Ich verstehe unter Arbeiterlied, dass ein Arbeiter ein Lied schreibt und die Melodie dazu und das hier vorträgt. Ich glaube, das Kleinbürgerlichste, was es überhaupt gibt, ist nämlich das, dass man sich der Arbeiter bedient, um sein kleinbürgerliches Geschäft zu machen. Und sei es auch auf Waldeck.
Danach ist dann, da kann ich gleich dazu sagen, dann nicht mehr viel gekommen.
D'où que vous soyez, accourez, braves gens. L'eau commence à monter, soyez clairvoyants. Admettez que bientôt vous serez submergés. Si vous voulez être sauvés, il est temps maintenant d'apprendre à nager, car le monde est inchangé.
La première fois que j'ai prononcé le mot folk chez Barclay, il y a eu un éclat de rire.
Les perdants d'hier vont peut-être gagner, car le monde est inchangé.
Folklore, c'était pour les vieux, quoi. C'était pour les gens gâteux, quoi.
En France, un truc énorme qui est simplement maintenant dont on s'aperçoit de la force de ça. Je veux dire qu'on est fier de Gainsbourg, même de Dutronc, de Léo Ferré, tous ces gens-là et tout ça, quoi. En France, les existentialistes, c'est vrai que c'était un truc aussi important finalement, je veux dire, que les beatniks en Amérique et tout.
Les Américains n'avaient jamais interrompu, n'avaient jamais, comment dirais-je, coupé les racines avec le passé, et qu'il y avait des folkloristes qui pouvaient être très modernes.
On couche n'importe où, dans les chambres à son sou. On est des grades-guitares, on chante sur les trottoirs, oui mais...
Le chanteur rive gauche à l'époque, on appelait ça rive gauche. C'est tout ce que je détestais, quoi. C'est-à-dire avec des harmonies minables, pas de rythme, et puis une espèce de message socialo-démagogique très facile. Ce style qui est parfaitement illustré par Coluche quand il faisait Misère, Misère, avec la guitare pas accordée et 2 accords. Bon, j'étais à l'opposé de ça. Et moi, je voulais exprimer une joie de vivre, un espoir, debout les gars, construire un nouveau siècle, lutter contre j'avais vécu la guerre de 40, enfin, et la guerre d'Indochine, la guerre d'Algérie. J'ai perdu des gens, de la famille, et je croyais vraiment à l'époque qu'il fallait chanter d'une façon positive.
On n'est pas syndiqués, nos blue jeans sont râpés, et dans tous les coins où l'on va, on est les rois.
Music's battles for human rights are not limited by time or place. In 1964, Johnny Cash, an eternal champion of the underdog, releases Bitter Tears, a protest album about the oppression of Native Americans. Billboard refuses to review it, and it ends up selling over 100,000 copies.
And it's raining ice picks on your steel shore.
But Cash's commitment to Native American rights doesn't end here, and is echoed by musicians as diverse as Chris Christopherson and Rage Against the Machine.
Cage and run. I'm gonna break my...
Sometimes music has political influence. Sometimes, especially if they're a spiritual or gospel song, they do, or a song about the American Indians. Some of the protest songs, yeah, they have a message.
The Mohawks had barricaded themselves in their reservation, and most people didn't even know that it had happened because the news media really wasn't covering it anywhere but Canada. And for a year and a half, they shut their reservation off to the outside world. And I went in there just to play for the Warriors on the barricades.
In 1994, 7 years after fighting for their right to party, the Beastie Boys co-found the Miller Rapper Fund to heighten awareness of human rights violations by the Chinese government in Tibet. The annual Free Tibet concerts, organised by the Beasties around the US, often draw crowds of 100,000, with lineups including U2, Chuck D, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Pearl Jam, Noel Gallagher, the Smashing Pumpkins, R.E.M., A Tribe Called Quest, Patti Smith, and many more.
The main thing is really the grassroots work that needs to happen. The films and the CDs and all that stuff can help bring it into the public eye, but the place where it really has an impact is when kids in schools, like people in universities, different people start using whatever leverage they have to try to actually bring about change through going to demonstrations or letter writing campaigns or boycotting certain corporations or electing government officials that actually have an interest in human rights. I think through all those things is what really actually brings about the change. So the responsibility is actually on all of us.
When there's still effectively concentration camps, there's amazing oppression. Every government in the world is ready to lean over and do business with the Chinese, regardless of any sort of political situation in Tibet. And that, we're all very well in the West, defending democracy, but you usually find oil when we defend democracy.
This song was written for a very brave man. A man who preached non-violence in a state which has racism enshrined in its constitution. A man who was imprisoned, tortured, and killed in a jail in South Africa. This is for Stephen Biko. Oh, Biko,
Peter Gabriel's 1980 hit Biko brought international attention to the murder by police of black South African lawyer Stephen Biko, and kick-started a decade of intense musical activity against apartheid, with protest songs, demonstrations, public arrests, tour boycotts, and more. If ever a musical campaign could be said to have made a difference, this was it.
That song didn't transform things, but was it part of a process that brought about change? I think it was.
Sun City is the showplace of Bophuthatswana, one of the so-called independent homelands where South African blacks have been relocated. It's a lavish resort where you can relax and enjoy some of the world's headline entertainers. It's part of the reality of apartheid.
Probably the greatest political rock song was written by Stephen Van Zandt when he wrote Ain't Gonna Play Sun City.
Sun City.
I mean, it's like a party song. I mean, whereas we wouldn't have done it that stuff, but Steve came up with this thing that had a great groove, rocked like hell, and rejoiced. But at the same time, lyrically and the tone, no doubt, was defiant.
I do not think that Mandela would have gotten out of jail if it had just been for people making speeches and writing books. They were wonderful songs.
Singer Stevie Wonder is the latest celebrity to be arrested in continuing anti-apartheid protests outside the South African embassy in Washington. Wonder was among 48 people taken into custody yesterday, charged with the misdemeanor of demonstrating too close to an embassy. Terming apartheid a barbaric policy, Wonder told reporters that his arrest is an expression of love to the people of South Africa.
In Europe, every country in Europe experienced war and destruction, right? But that was not enough. Of course, they had colonialist wars also, like France. France, after the Second World War, had a very far-away war in Indochina and in Algeria, 2 wars. So they had experiences outside of their own countries. But when we're discussing the United States never experienced a war in their own land. So after the 60s, we see that the protest music is spreading outside of the United States. I mean, they sort of feel responsible for injustices in South Africa, China, Tibet. So until the end of the 20th century, the political left of the United States is moving towards the politics of the whole world, not only themselves, but the whole world. They feel responsible. And of course, during the 21st century, that responsibility really went berserk, apart from the music. Now, do we have the last part? Yeah, let's watch the last part and then we'll be finished.